Everybody, welcome back to Kicking in the Second Half. Kish YZ. We're going to do a review so far of the conference finals for the East and the West. I'm going to start out with the Suns and Clippers. That series, the Suns are leading 3-1 as of the making of this video. And the Suns are just balling. They're just doing what they need to get done. Chris Paul's shoulder injury doesn't seem to be a problem. Only thing I have to say here, as far as a big standout or what I don't want to see happen, is I don't want to see the Suns blow this. If they lose this somehow, then Chris Paul would just be like one of the ultimate jinx career-wise. But outside of that, I don't see why they would do that. They've won games even with him being out. So hopefully nobody gets hurt here any further than what they have already. Shout out to Devin Booker in that nose. But let's get into a few things from what I noticed over the last couple of games, especially the last game. The last game with Paul George and Reggie Jackson. Look, this is something they do sometimes. They look like they're too cool. Like they're trying to be too cool, like too flashy. No, I don't want to say flashy. They're just like careless with the ball in some extent, to where they try to make everything look like, oh, it's easy, it's just simple. And I don't like that. Reggie Jackson got out of that later into the game, like the fourth quarter. He was being more aggressive, more assertive, is a word I would like to say, as far as how he was playing. But Paul George just kept that coolness. And I know he has a little bit of that in his game, as far as how he relaxes onto the court, as far as him being a basketball player. But sometimes you just have to be more assertive and more aggressive. And when he's too cool, you just kind of see him like his shooting's off. Like when he's in that attack mindset of attacking the basket, his outside shots and mid-range shots tend to fall a lot easier because of that aggression. But when he just searches for those outside threes and they're not hitting, why keep going back and back and back to them? I don't know how many times I saw him in the last game, in game 4, transition 3, pull up 3, walk in 3. You're not making those all game. So why are you keep forcing the issue there? You're 6'9", like go to the rim, go to the hole, get fouled. I don't know if he was hurt or what, but that just blew my mind. I just couldn't believe that he kept doing the same thing. So then when it came down to the stretch with the free throws, he missed them because you don't have that rhythm of getting a shot to go in the basket. You're not seeing the ball go through the hole to give you the confidence to keep shooting, as far as, you know, seeing the shot go in and then take a shot that you feel comfortable with. I felt like he was comfortable with the shot that he wasn't making, so he wanted to keep seeking that out. And yes, you could have went back to that, but you got to drive it to the rim sometimes. You cost them the game. This is bottom line. You didn't get outplayed by Phoenix, because it was rough for both teams in the third quarter. You outplayed yourself by not playing the game that you know how to play and you're capable of playing. So chalk that one up. But Morris, I don't want to say the first name because I keep getting them confused. I'm just going to admit that now. But Morris, he's been like a non-factor for me. Like he has a good game here and there, and it's just not enough to sustain. Take him out, put Terrence Mann, and give this guy some run. Give this guy, he's got the juice. You're down 3-1. I know you like those 0-2 deficits and stuff like that, but you're down 3-1. Just give the man some time in here. Start him in this game. Game 5, start Terrence Mann. You know, just control this foul situation. Make sure you don't rack up fouls too quickly, too early. If he does, you know, pull him for a little bit, pull him to the side. Ty Lue, talk to the guy. But just don't just don't put Morris in, please. Just move on from that and just have him off the bench. Right now, he's as good as Serge Ibaka. That's not saying much. So let's go to Paul George free throw. Nope, I've already touched on that. I just went ahead and went to that early because I wanted it, just segued into that. But right now with Paul George playing the way he is, he's making me think he's a third option again. Like he has obviously all the opportunity in the world right now to be primary option. Then when he's there with Kawhi, he's a secondary option. And with the way he was doing these playoff games without Kawhi, I was like, okay, he could be a primary option sometimes. And you're looking like a third option at this point. Like, I'm gonna get to this in the summer. We'll see where the Clippers end up at. But man, if they want to shake things up, Paul George did sign that contract extension. If Kawhi Leonard wants to move on, maybe you look to trade Paul George to Denver. You get Michael Porter Jr. in exchange, some picks, throw in maybe Monte Morris or some other guy, whoever you want. basically. And then Paul George, you could be like a third option there between behind Jokic, Murray, and then yourself. That's a great team in my opinion. That's a finals team right there, and I would like to see that for the Nuggets standpoint. But right now, man, you're just looking like a third option, bro. Like, let's move on for him too, man. Just move on for him. Let's Ty Lue and Zubac. Hey, shout out to those dudes. They're doing great stuff for the Clippers there. I think Ty Lue's he's just working with what he's got, and the adjustments he's making so far is helping. Giving Zubac some run time, and Zubac is loving it down there in the paint. He's trying to keep up with Aiden. I mean, Aiden is more of the dominating, more of the greater talent here, but Zubac's definitely rising up and raising his stock as far as his value on the team and just in the league in general. But yeah, I like that. I like what I'm seeing there. And Ty Lue, yeah, like I say, if you keep doing your thing with the coaching, just switch it up, put Terrence Mann in. But enough of the Clippers. Let's go to the Suns and what they're doing in the series. The Suns is obviously they're ready to ball. They're ready to play. They're ready to get out of here, get out the gates, get to the finals. I mean, the Suns for so long have been in the bottom. They've been in the basement, not making the playoffs at all. And here they are, like one win away from the finals. Chris Paul, one win away from the finals. And Devin Booker, sometimes when you get a little taste, you taste blood in the water, you want more, you get thirsty. So we'll see how this affects them going forward for the upcoming seasons, which is going to lead me to something I want to bring up if I don't forget. But let me get through what I got here so far. The Suns, they look comfortable in the way where, they're not playing in a comfortable manner as far as like, we're just going to be nonchalant about how we play. They're playing with force and they're being fierce out there, and I love it. And that's just why it looks comfortable in a way that they're not worried about the game. They're not worried about the game getting out of hand. They're not worried about if the Clippers go on a streak, because they're not. The Paul George is out there. I don't know what he's doing. So, the Suns are playing their ball, and they're going to keep playing their ball until they're forced to do otherwise. And in this series, they're not really going to be forced to do otherwise. So they could just kind of do whatever they need to do to get it done. Yeah, they could have been slightly more aggressive at times in game 4 here, but like I said, that third quarter was pretty bad going into the fourth. I guess a lot of it was like the first 5 minutes of the fourth is pretty bad, but that's why you have Chris Paul. And Chris Paul hits that mid-range, goes back to the mid-range, hits that again, and there you go. You got a nice buffer there because he's just that reliable as long as he's healthy. So, big shout out to Ayton again. He's playing the best ball so far. He's playing his best ball. He's playing probably the best ball out of almost everybody on the court from an efficiency standpoint for sure. But just in general, he's fulfilling that role to a T of what he needs to do for his team. And, that's just a great winning formula. Like a guy who doesn't complain as far as being a second, sometimes a third option. He gets fed, he's hungry, and he's there to do the job. And, we can't forget that game-winning dunk he had. That was incredible when he did that. Insane. Just one of those poster moments. Sorry, Zubac, but it is what it is. I don't care who it was under that rim. That was nasty. That was nice. And shout out to Jay Crowder for that lob, because that was on the baseline and he threw that up there. And that was a nice setup. This is perfect. I love it. It was great. But let's get back to Devin Booker and CP3 right now. What can I say? They're the best backcourt left in the playoffs. Just simple. That's the best way to phrase up those two, because it is what it is. The best backcourt left in the playoffs. And as long as they're healthy, they ain't got nothing to worry about. Just keep playing. It's almost like that Shaq Kobe dynamic of that veteran leadership, that veteran talent, and that youthfulness, and Devin Booker and that hunger. Like, I like it. It's a good formula. It's good. Just keep doing what you're doing. And let's get into the players that are adding that versatility for the Phoenix Suns. This is your campaigns, Cameron Jackson. Why did I just say that? Cameron Payne, coming out of, we used to have him in OKC. Let me just mention this real quick as a quick plug, because OKC, Jalen Rose said it best. We are a farm league team. I mean, I'm looking at some of these players in the playoffs. Just look at this series. Hopefully I'm not leaving anybody out. We're talking about Reggie Jackson. We had him at one point. We're talking about Cameron Payne. We had him at one point. We're talking about, I know there's another one here. Obviously Chris Paul, but he was already good before we had him. But yeah, we had Chris Paul at one point. I mean, we just had guys that are making a splash in the playoffs that we had at one point. Gallinari at one point. Yeah, I mean, this is just it's just a big old list here of players that we've had, and some of these players have obviously gotten better since they left us. So yeah, shout out to OKC Farm League. That's my team, but that's just what we do. We draft great, we scout great, and then off you go. But yeah, Cam Johnson's another guy. Cam Johnson's a very versatile player, or adding that versatility. Like they had mentioned, they had said that he was the best shooter in the draft when he was drafted. I remember him. I remember him in college. I remember him when he was playing for UNC, because when UNC went against Duke in Zion blue attire and in that second matchup against UNC. I believe that was that game. And yeah, I remember Cam Johnson. He was great. He was a great talented player then. I was like, man, whoever gets him, you know, he's got more he can add to his game. I mean, he's still young, but yeah, that 3-point shooting that he's got, or just that scoring ability in the mid range, he's good. I would like to see him add more to his game, and I'm sure he will throughout the course of his career, eventually become a starter. But yeah, having him off the bench, and then when he's in rhythm, when he's hot, that's just a great thing to have. And shout out to the other young guy over there, Mikal Bridges. I I've been high on him since he came into the league, to be honest. I didn't know much about him before he was drafted, but I knew once I started watching him play, I'm like, oh, that defense, especially keeping up with him in fantasy leagues. Like, man, that's a great player, like an under the radar guy. Like, yeah, he might not do a lot as far as scoring volume, but he definitely is in the right spots at the right time. He can shoot the three. He can drive because he's very athletic, but he has great defense. And you put all these guys together, and two out of these three guys are bench players, but they can all three be on the secondary unit together, and it's beautiful. So I just have to mention that. But yeah, just to sum this up. Oh, what was it that I was going to get to about the Suns and CP3? I think it was something that was going to be related to CP3 once again being that free agent. Oh, I know what it was. If the Suns want to stay hot going into next season, in my opinion, I talked to Michael on his podcast the other night. Shout out to the Tavern Geek over there. We ran an episode, just us two, and I said that the Suns, with this season being the way it is, with some of these younger guys making it further, and some of these veteran guys not making it that far or into the playoffs, some of that is just that tight schedule where, playing, even though it was 72 games, it was condensed. You see a lot of 4-game weeks for teams. And then like the shortened off season, like, the young guys are definitely upcoming, but the veterans just probably couldn't keep up as far as mileage on their bodies and stuff like that. So this year might not be a true year as far as what to look out for going into next season, but it is something to look forward to in the next upcoming seasons, like 2 or 3 years away from now. But for the Suns, in my opinion, Chris Paul is winning that money, is winning that contract. You have to have a player like Chris Paul. If it's not Chris Paul, maybe like a Kyle Lowry type of player, just to help stabilize the roster and give you that veteran presence, that leadership that you need. Like I said, no different than Kobe and Shaq back in the day. You need that for a couple years so it can marinate in, and then the guys will grow up into their own. But I think it'd be a great move for the Suns to retain him, but we'll see what happens with that. Just to end this segment on the Clippers and Suns, quick question. Put in the comments if you're watching this video on YouTube. Subscribe. If you're not subscribed, please check us out on YouTube. If you're listening to the audio only on Spotify, Anchor.fm, Google Podcasts, Breakers, Outcast, wherever you find these. I don't even know if Outcast is one, but shout out to the group Outcast in Atlanta. Just tell me, can the Clippers pull off another win? In my opinion, if I'm answering my own question, I would say they possibly could pull off another win. So this is 4 games. Game 5, they're going back to Phoenix. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. If they come out the gates in the right fashion, they can keep the game close, and they would definitely need to have some type of lead going into halftime. If it's a 5-point lead, if it's a double-digit lead, that's huge. But Paul George will have to be aggressive from the jump. Reggie Jackson has to be aggressive from the jump. They have to start Terrence Mann. A lot of things have to go right, but they can go right for them. So if that happens, then I can see the Clippers pulling off another win, but it's definitely going to be hard. Phoenix has the series wrapped up either way, but just depend on who comes out more aggressive for this next game. But I wanted to mention that as well, but not just because of how I just want to see what happens for the rest of the playoffs, but also because Ty Lue said, being down 3-1, it's still doable to win the series. And yeah, it's doable, but with the right personnel, I don't think you have the right personnel to make it that far. Like I said, if that happens, Chris Paul's just a terrible jinx, but I don't wish that on that man. So let's move on from this and go to the Bucks Hawks series. The Bucks Hawks series. I just watched that game, finished about a couple hours ago before the making of this video. Now the Bucks are up 2-1 in this series. And yeah, I'm sorry, I messed up on my prediction on this. I did say whoever won game one would probably win the series. And I said if the Hawks win, they win it in 5. The Bucks won game one, they win it in 6. Well, the Bucks lost. The Hawks won, but the Hawks are already down 2. So there's no way they can win in 5. They can win it in 6. Don't see that happen. They can win it in 7. Man, now I don't see that happening. The Bucks can actually win this in 5. You're going to be playing game 4 in Atlanta. If you take care of business like you took care of business in game 3, in game 2, then you go back to Milwaukee. You give the fans what they want. Shout out to the Deer Park. I call it Deer Park because it reminds me of the Jurassic Park. I don't know what it's called. I'm so sorry. Shout out to the Feeling Lucky podcast guys over there. Lucky and Big Daddy out there in Wisconsin. Just shout out to those guys because big Bucks fans there. And they just got to take care of business. That's all that needs to be done there. Is just they need to get in there, clean everything up, get everything taken care of. It looks like you're on the right track. I like what Coach Bud is doing with everybody, and I like Pat Connaughton stepping up. So I think I did get some of the factors right for the games as far as who to watch out for and contributors. I don't know if I had mentioned Gallinari, but Gallinari's doing some things there for the Atlanta Hawks. Lou Williams is starting to step up a little bit. I need more from John Collins again because I don't really think he has a great matchup as far as somebody guarding him. So I think he could still be that deterrent player, and he should go for 20. He needs to go for 20. So, but the big thing now is Trae Young's ankle. We've seen this happen with Donovan Mitchell. This can really affect you, and I don't know why. Sometimes some of these guards are getting this. I mean, Donovan Mitchell's kind of spawned from the regular season, but here, when I'm looking at a player like Trae Young, looking at a player like James Harden with the hamstring, maybe some of those herky-jerky moves that they do, sometimes it kind of doesn't jerk back in place sometimes, and it causes this weird minute injury, but yet it's still an injury because it changes the way you normally play, because you either lose some explosiveness or you lose some of that herky-jerky movement. And that's why it's definitely going to be hard for the Hawks to win if Trae Young's not doing his normal movements. He's going to be on the floor, he's going to play, he's going to take shots, but this, anything below the waist, it affects your shooting for sure. Like you might as well have like a thumb or some type of finger injury or shoulder injury. You might almost be better off if you get that taped up. But when it comes to your legs and stuff, and your spring action, your lateral movement, your vertical jump, as far as getting that shot off in the proper rhythm, and your footwork, it definitely could change your game. So, that's sad to see there. But like I say, he will be playing most likely, in my opinion. We'll keep an eye out on that for a report. But yeah, it definitely lowers the chances there. So maybe they can win more game, but right now it's highly unlikable that they would win one more game, because mostly of the guy Chris Middleton, because Chris Middleton now is looking like, at times, he's like the best player on the team. But we know Giannis is the best player on the team. But when Chris Middleton's going down the stretch, the fourth quarter, is he that go-to guy? He is that go-to guy. And this brings me back to the point of having Drew Holiday. Drew Holiday is like that deterrent where it takes some pressure off Chris Middleton to be the number 2 guy, even though we know him to be the number 2 guy, and he is the number 2 guy on most occasions. But just to have that relief, because when you're not getting things started too early and you got other guys contributing, and then you are able to work yourself into the game. And then by the time the second half, the fourth quarter shows up, you're ready to play big. You're not exhausting all of your efforts on defense. You're ready to play offense. You're ready to ball. And like I said, this is indirectly coming from having players like Drew Holiday on the team, Bobby Portis on the team. Shout out to what some of these organizations did as far as adding a great value talent like an all-star talent to the team, and then following up with this other veteran talent that has an extremely good role in the system. And this is, like I said, it's Drew Holiday and it's Bobby Portis. And you look at the Phoenix Suns, it's obviously Chris Paul and Jay Crowder. So when you add that formula to a winning team, like it's a great mix because everybody knows their role and they have a certain role to fill. And if they do it properly, then everything else just lines up. Like I said, with Drew Holiday's doing Drew Holiday stuff, Giannis, we know what he can do. We know what he's gonna do. And Chris Middleton has a chance to do even more. And to stay consistent like that, that's what the Bucks are needing. So what you're doing now in the Hawks, use this as muscle memory for the finals because that's like exactly where you're going at this point. But you got to you're going if you're going to go up against the Suns, which is the most likely scenario at this point, you got to have that rhythm. You got to have that mindset of, okay, I need to attack, and then when the fourth quarter comes, they're going to be looking for me to score. I got to step up to that because they're not going to be as easy as the Hawks. But let me also plug in, just to wrap this up, Gallinari and Bogdanovich, they are helping out whenever they can with this Hawks series and with the Hawks offense. Shout out to also, if I'm getting this right, I'm probably not getting it right. Akungwu, no, I've messed it up already. Akungwu, I think that's how it is. I'm not sure. I should have listened to them pronounce it, but that's his last name. The rookie for the Hawks. They're giving him some playing time in the last game. Give him more playing time. Your backs are getting against the wall. You're not in a win or die situation per se for the next game. You can afford another loss, but you can't afford another loss because, who wants to be down 3-1? But you're only down 2-1. But with Trae Young being like he is, you got to find offense and something in a different manner to make the Milwaukee Bucks change up their defensive schemes or their offensive schemes as far as pick and roll situations or matchups. So, plug different things in. If the guy is looking good and some quality minutes that he had in game 3, give him some more minutes in game 4 and see what happens. But John Collins definitely needs to step up there for me, please. And make it a little bit more competitive. Obviously this game was more competitive than game 2, where the Hawks just completely got blown out in Milwaukee. So Hawks, yeah, this might be your last home game for the season, so make it count. If you come up with the win, then you'll have another one. So we'll see what happens there. But yeah, these are, to wrap up the 2 conference finals series here. Let's say, like I said, probably got Suns taking this. Let's say Suns in 5, Bucks in 5. And we'll get prepared for the finals, and we see if the predictions come true here from for the rest of this series between the East Conference teams and the Western Conference teams that are left. So yeah, everybody, like I said, thanks for watching, listening to the podcast. Please like, follow, subscribe, check us out. If you want to comment us or follow us on Instagram or Twitter, it's at KishYZ, KISH_YZ. If you're listening to it or searching for the audio only version, or if you're looking for us on YouTube, it's under KishYZ, KISH, then a space YZ, and we're going to keep you updated with more content. And also on YouTube, if you check us out there, I am doing some shoes reviews as far as showing you some unboxing videos of some cool basketball sneakers. Got some Kyries coming up that I want to show, and some PGs that I want to show as well. But I'm also doing some other casual shoes for like back to school, people who just want to add to their wardrobe on the cheap. These are shoes that are under $100. Some of them are about $50. So yeah, just go in there and check those out. And if you like those videos, put a thumbs up, leave in the comment if you're trying to cop a pair of those particular sneakers or if you just like them. So yeah, once again, everybody, I appreciate the love. Thanks for watching Kicking in the Second Half. Peace and love.